here we are on a Sunday afternoon, returning guest of honor, Jamie Lee. Jamie Lee, welcome back again.
Hi, thanks for having me, Chris.
So I look back and I say the first time you came around was in December, mid-December of 2023. It's amazing the passage of time. You'd been on again with Chris Hamby and also Michaela as we were doing Svengoolie content at that time. And now most recently, as part of your interactive theater, which you are engaged in currently, you were able to meet Chris Hamby live and in person.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. So you've known of Chris through the internet for an extended amount of time. Then you got to be on the same screen with him the last time we all conversed over here. What was it like? Now, I have yet to meet Chris Hamby in person. What was it like for you to be able to see Chris Hamby?
Oh, that was really cool. When I found out that I was in a touring show, I was looking at the different places we were going. So I saw one of the places was at least in the same state that Chris Hamby was in. So I sent it to him and said, hey, if you want to meet in person, I don't know how far you are from this, but we're going to be here. So he did tell me that he confirmed he got a ticket. He was able to come. So that was super fun to be able to meet him. And because we had met on screen before, making those jokes about, hey, you exist from the waist down. Look at that. Wow. We're not just this.
Right. Three-dimensional and fully dimensional, if you will.
Gosh. Yeah, that was super fun to be able to meet with him, and also then to be able to really see what we could do, performing live. That was really fun for him to be able to see that.
And that was correct me if I'm wrong, that was at the University of Maryland?
Yes, it was University of Maryland, Baltimore.
Yes. All right. And so that was the first of your series of the shows. And well, let's say, okay, so the name of the show is The Jury Experience.
Yes. Well, it's a part of a series of shows that are all called The Jury Experience. So ours is The Jury Experience, Angel of Death.
Angel of Death. And so, right,
Baltimore was technically our first stop, but we did do a special little preview show in Chicago at the Museum of Contemporary Art. Right now at the Museum of Contemporary Art, I don't know how much longer it's running, but they have The Jury Experience Frankenstein, and it's the trial of Dr. Frankenstein. Is he responsible for the murders that his creature committed? So two of our cast members are also in that show.
Well, that sounds pretty exciting. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was not previously aware of that until right here, right now. The second, that sounds like something I should go and check out then locally. So it sounds like it's the same kind of a concept. You're putting there was an either or, there was a black or white, there was a conclusion, and then so some things we can speak on, some things we can't speak on, but the general format is then the audience at some point within the show does a vote.
Yes, they do it a few times during the show. So the audience is the jury, and that's why it's the jury experience, because the audience gets to experience that. We even pick an audience member to be the foreperson, and there's some more audience interaction that goes on. But throughout the show, you're able to vote on different things. Should this piece of evidence be admitted if it wasn't shown during discovery? Do you want to see this piece of evidence or this piece of evidence? Do you want to hear from this witness or see this other piece of evidence? Various different things until you get to the end, and that's when you vote on the verdict. And in some versions, not ours, but in some versions like Dr. Frankenstein, there are two verdicts you get to vote on, and you get to vote on the sentencing. In ours, it's just one verdict.
And so I'm full disclosure, I'm not a theater person by training. As I often say, I'm not a film school person. Let me add on also, I'm not a theater person, but this sounds to me completely creative and a great way to draw in the audience.
Yeah, it definitely is. People are paying attention. We're hearing their commentary while we're on stage going, I think he did it. Or I don't believe this guy. And it's really funny how you could hear the audience turn back and forth, or sometimes you just hear, ooh, and you don't know which way they're going. Like, ooh, that's really interesting, or ooh, I don't like that person. So you don't always know which way it's going, but sometimes you do get a bit of a vibe from the audience.
So again, this sounds like a lot of fun. And so you have some other tour dates coming up. What would
Yes.
those?
So we have August 22nd, 2 shows in Atlanta. And I won't be performing on that date, but the understudy is wonderful. So you could go check that out. Then August 28th, we will be in Cleveland. August 30th in Indianapolis. That's all we know for right now.
That sounds pretty cool. So again, if somebody's in the Atlanta area or Cleveland area or in greater Indianapolis here, so let me try to, oh, we have a comment. Let me jump into comments. It is.
And every date has 2 shows.
Every date has 2 shows. Jim Campbell from Campbell's Corner is asking, sounds like Clue. Would you say, if we're doing a Venn diagram, Jamie, would you say it's a lot of Clue overlap, a modicum of Clue overlap? How would you respond to Jim Campbell's query?
Well, let's see. Gosh, I love Clue. And I would love to do Clue someday. I would say this is more focused on the trial aspect. So, yes, there's overlap in that there's variation in the endings and variation in what happens. However, during Clue, you get to see the crimes and the goings on as they're happening. For ours, it's all in hindsight. We do have pictures and video of various witnesses and things that happened, but you're not necessarily seeing it live happening right in front of you, because this is the aftermath when we're doing the trial.
Excellent, excellent. So let's shift over to the share screen a little bit, and then I needed to also shift over so I can navigate the screen. So right there, select date and session. So this is saying there's August 30, there's a 4:30 and a 7 p.m. and there's different zones. So ticket prices look like they're between $26 and $33.
Yes, I know occasionally they run a deal where there's a discount on tickets. I have no control over that. I don't know when that happens. But I know that sometimes they'll run a deal. Looks like there's a deal going on right now. They do sell out. It looked like in Baltimore, we were either pretty much or completely sold out. It is hard to know when you're on stage, because even if you did sell all the tickets, somebody might just not show up. So then technically you still sold out.
Perfect. And again, the highlights, we've been putting them in your own words, which is, as it says here, enjoy live theater courtroom drama. It says vote during key moments, dissect witness testimonies, unpack evidence, weigh the argument, then a high stakes case full of twists, more turns than a roller coaster. The verdict only you can deliver. And it's right there how it works. You come in and sit down, hear the case, deliver the verdict. So next up, it says the Indianapolis Public Library. I've only passed through Indianapolis. I've never really actually stayed in it. I'm not familiar with the public library. Jamie, have you been there before? Will that be new for you to be in that location?
I went to Indianapolis for a convention one time. Have not been to the library. That is one of the fun things about a touring show. You get to go to all these places you've never been. And even if you've been to the city, you haven't always been in that specific location. Excellent. So this is very fun. And even though it says it's a drama, we've been very pleased with how the audience is also responding to the humor, and sometimes even humor that was unintentional in the script. So it's very much more of a melodrama where it's so dramatic that it's funny, and then also moments that are just specifically to be funny.
Funny melodrama. Who wouldn't want to go see that kind of a show? That sounds real good.
Yeah. I was just telling somebody how a lot of comedies, if you try to summarize them in one sentence, they sound like a drama. Like, think about Clue. A bunch of people go to a mysterious party and murders start happening. This doesn't sound like a comedy.
Yeah, the party took a wrong turn if there's a murder at it.
Right. Multiple murders. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and here's just a little bit more about the venue. It says here, the public library enriches and supports communities, lifelong learning and stewardship. It looks like a really great architectural design right there also. And then how to get there. So it says 40 East St. Clair Street in Indianapolis. Looks like it's right near the Legion Hall, and a whole bunch of stuff going on over there. So yeah, if somebody's in the area, that's probably some good
I'm
stuff.
sure that is significant to people who live there who go, yeah, I know that street.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question from Jim Campbell. So let's pop that right here and say, do audience respond differently in certain areas? Oh, Campbell always coming up with a question I would not have thought of.
Well, we have only been to 2 locations so far, so the data is a little bit limited. From what I've heard from the people in our show who have done other shows before, such as the Frankenstein show, they've said yes, it does vary depending on the area, and sometimes even just where you're doing it in the area. So, for example, in Baltimore, we were at a university, so that attracts kind of a different audience. Going to a public library attracts a different audience. It depends on where you are going. The response we got in Chicago to our preview show was definitely different than in Baltimore. I will say, though, that the response was the same and that both audiences really enjoyed it, but just their reactions to different things changed. But they were just as invested in both places.
Super cool. Good to know. Good to know.
And you vote by using a QR code, by the way, just so everybody knows how you vote. So in real time, they're collecting the votes backstage, and then they'll bring it out to the judge so the judge can announce what happened.
So had this show been 20, 30 years ago, which it is not, then it might have been a paper and pencil checkbox kind of a thing. But
maybe holding up paddles that have different colors.
Paddles for a jury, that would make sense also. But QR codes in the current era, using the current technology, makes perfect sense. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the show itself before we talk about your other projects, your other comings and goings?
It's very fun, and I will say that Fever, the company that's producing it, really does listen to what the audience is saying. So if you leave comments, if you send commentary to Fever, whether you've seen the show or if you want to see the show, they do pay attention to that. We hear things from Fever even during the workshop process when we were previewing it for different people, even within the company. We were hearing back and adjusting things based on it. So they really do listen. So if you want to see it, or if you have seen it and you have things you want to say, reach out and let them know.
Reach out to the Fever. Okay, so what else? You have your radio program, you have other, we were just mentioning before going live, you have some other performances going on. Also, which of your other projects do you care to speak on?
Gosh, well, we're getting into spooky season. So if you want to listen to some spooky music, you can always listen to the album we have for the musical I wrote called Brides. It's a horror comedy musical, and it's an album of select songs from the show. We are working very hard to bring it to the stage. When you stream it, we do get royalties. And places pay attention to that. So if you want to see the show, if you want it to come to your area, feel free. I'm not going to stop you from finding theaters in your area and saying, hey, this musical sounds cool. Why don't you do it? I'm not going to stop you.
We will be sure we put the link for that in the description and in the comments as well. But until we hit the end of the stream and until I get to the keyboard, how would somebody locate through the internet? Like, what website would somebody go to find your music?
Yes, well, that is on my website. You can find a QR code where you scan it and it brings you 2 different sites that have it. If you want to just search for it directly, it's everywhere. It's easier to list the services it's not on. But we're on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, which is big in Europe, I believe, iHeartRadio, all sorts of different places, YouTube Music. A whole list of things. If you have a Peloton, apparently we are on Peloton. So you can ride your bike while listening to these great spooky songs.
Man, see, a good time to be had in many different ways. And again, your Jackalope Productions. And so, yeah, we will get the link in here so people can go directly to your website and check out all of what you have going on.
Yeah, if you're searching for it without using the QR code, you'll know it when you see there's a hunchback on the cover art. I did make the cover art.
Like a Rich Coe is talented in many different ways with the art and with the performances. Not
Yeah, you'll see a hunchback on the cover art. That's how you'll know it's the correct one. And the hunchback may look familiar, may not, but it might.
That's good. Anticipation. What could it look like exactly? So you click around and find out. You okay? So you mentioned also you have some movie reviews going, and that's in relation to your channel or in relation to your radio show, or what is the?
That's more just something I enjoy doing as someone who's an actor, writer, and director. I love spreading the word about things that I like. So when I see something I like, I'll ask if I can review it. And then I get to write the review and say what specifically was so great about it. So 2 movies I've seen just in the last week that one of them is out, one of them is yet to come out. So I got to see it so that I could review it, and I'm going to see it when it comes out. I loved them both. So the musical 6 got a pro shot, which means they didn't make it into a movie, but they filmed it on stage, kind of like they did with Hamilton, the Pee Wee Herman show on Broadway, Frozen, all these different musicals that I've done at Hadestown recently did it. So you can see 6. And it's another one of those where if you summarize it in a sentence, it sounds really weird. It's the 6 wives of Henry VIII deciding to hold a contest as a pop concert.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like it's got room for all kinds of hilarity to it.
It's amazing. And the movie even starts with a little short documentary about the history of the show, because a lot of it was happening during the early days of COVID. So a lot of things got put off. So it was really kind of triumphant that they were able to bring the West End cast back together to film this pro shot. It was super fun. And then another movie I got to see was Coyote versus Acme. And I know a lot of Svengoolie fans watch this show. There is a Looney Tunes character in this movie. Has not been revealed in any of the marketing, so I respected that and kept it a secret in my review. But there's a specific Looney Tunes character that Svengoolie fans are going to be very, very happy to see is in this movie.
I feel like I've heard of Coyote versus Acme, but I'm not fully knowledgeable about it. Was it already theatrically released, or is it pending? Or
it comes out officially August 28th, although a lot of movies are doing the night before screenings now, where it would be August 27th. And AMC is doing early access screenings that you can get tickets to on August 23rd. All this research I had to do the review. This movie also has a crazy backstory, which is very strange that when you see the movie, people talk about art imitating life. This was life imitating art after the art was made. It was kind of nuts, where this movie was originally produced in 2022, going to come out in 2023. Some stuff happened that I do go over in my review, but it's coming out now. And it's wonderful. I loved it. I'm a big Looney Tunes fan, but I would have loved it anyway. This is just a really great movie, and it is a mystery. So if I go into why specifically it's so great, it's going to spoil it.
So
and I don't want to do that. But it's really, really great. If you get a chance to see Coyote versus Acme, so if you haven't heard of it, basically, we know Wile E. Coyote from Coyote and Roadrunner always buys these products from Acme. They always, sometimes literally, blow up in his face. He decides he's had enough of that and decides to get a lawyer and sue Acme for their faulty products.
How do you get a better concept than that? Now, I can recall way back watching the movie review and movie talk programs on Collider on YouTube. And so is Steve Carell in this movie, or did that kind of the ship sailed? So he was historically previously attached to a possible.
Really?
development of it. But yeah, clearly that didn't come
Huh.
to pass then.
I guess I could see what part he could have played. But so Eric Bauza does the voice of a lot of the Looney Tunes characters. A lot of those. Candy Milo is also in it as a bunch of Looney Tunes characters. And Jim Cummings is the voice of one specific character, Taz. He may do other voices in the movie, but that's the main one. Then, in terms of human actors, we have Will Forte playing Wile E. Coyote's lawyer. We have John Cena, who plays Acme's head lawyer. Then we also have Lana Condor, who is Will Forte's character's niece in the movie. All the lawyers are named after Looney Tunes animators. You have Avery, Jones, Maltese, all named after these famous Looney Tunes directors and animators.
I'm glad you're educating me about it to its current condition. Definitely sounds like something fun and something that's worthwhile to get to.
Yeah, it is super fun. There are trailers out and clips. There are even fake commercials for the law firm, which are great. And I am hoping that they play those on TV at 2 a.m. with all the other lawyer commercials.
Because what better time slot for lawyer commercials?
Right.
If not 2 a.m.
The people who are half awake listening to all the lawyer commercials, and then all of a sudden someone comes on, have you been injured by an anvil?
And you did that very effectively, let me say.
You may be entitled to compensation.
And now this also bridges into, as Sven, since the late 70s, has been doing the parody commercials and such. Have you been able to keep an eye on the Svengoolie business, the new setup of things? How do you have any thoughts to share about the current condition of the Svengoolie-verse?
Oh, I love that he's continually getting new movies to show. I loved that he got to show Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which is actually getting another movie that is actually out in theaters now, but they're expanding it to other cities, so it's not near me yet. But it's called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes Organic Intelligence. So that sounds like fun. I love when he gets to show new movies that he's never gotten to show before.
It has been definitely a fun element of the show now that they've added in other movies that have yet to make it. I like to play their artificial intelligence, organic intelligence. I can see some fun stuff on the horizon coming out of that. All right, well, Jimmy, I appreciate that you were able to come around and speak on your comings and goings. Again, we'll put in the link for both how to get tickets for the show and to follow Jamie's other projects, the radio show, and to give a listen to Jamie's music. Any closing thoughts at this time, Jamie?
Gosh, well, it is important to note that each location has a different website to get tickets. So if you're going to Cleveland, don't buy the tickets for Indianapolis. Make sure you're looking at that.
It's a little bit of Constantinople, Istanbul right there. Don't be in the wrong place, trying to find the right place. So then just as I close us out then, Chris Hamby, we continue to appreciate you and just you're a sincere and down-to-earth person, and you're a great part of the greater community, Chris Hamby. We continue to value you. We continue to value Jamie Lee. If you're in the Indy area, in the Cleveland area, see if your schedule matches up. And if you're not in those places, then from wherever you are, you can listen to Jamie Lee's
and contact Fever Originals. They're the ones putting on the show. Let them know you wanted to come to your area.
All right, with that, I'm going to close us out. Thanks so much, Jamie Lee, for coming around again. I'll have to get a Jamie Lee playlist now that we're on our third conversation over here, and I'm closing us. Thank you so much.
I get a playlist. Wow.